If you have negative items on your credit report and you want to get results, then this is the video that you want to watch, because today we're going over the bulletproof credit sweep dispute tactics flow. And while that may be a mouthful, this is going to give you a little bit of insight into the dispute process that you should be using. Now, if you want to get a copy of this and you are not watching this video on your phone, scan the QR code and you can download it directly. If you are watching this on your phone, use the link in the description, head over to hub.my740.com and access this for free, along with 15 other totally awesome modules, right? So let's get to this. I've broken it down into 4 stages, right? We have our initial dispute, okay? And obviously with factual-based disputes, we're going after our blatant inaccuracies, right? So we're talking about different balances, different dates, things that jump right off the page and say, delete me immediately. And here's the deal. You want to send proof if you have it, because otherwise you may just get a rejection, a denial, a verified, certified as accurate by the creditor. And any proof that you do have, while it may not be looked at, you definitely want to be logging these things, because if you have to go to the last step in stage 4, which is contacting the CFPB, you need to have a log of all of this, okay? So now 30 days later, we're on stage 2, our second dispute, and this is where we're going to set the follow-up. This is one I call Gameland, right? So this is where we get a feel for the games that they're playing, meaning the credit bureaus, and we're creating our plan of attack, okay? Did they respond? If so, was it within a week? If it was, it all comes down to your method. You used the wrong method, okay? And this happens a lot when consumers send out dispute letter templates like 609, 1681s, and all that kind of stuff, all right? So when you send that out, you're going directly into their automation, or it might not even pass go and just get rejected, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for templates, okay? So was there an investigation at all? If not, there's a very specific way that you want to respond. We're going to talk about that in a different video, but let's go over to the second part in stage 2, which is our violation round, okay? So in our violation round, we are going after the notice of dispute. Was it entered within 30 days after they received your first dispute? If not, it's a violation pursuant to section 623, okay? Did they update or change the date last reported? Or this might say status update date or date last reported. There's 3 different ways that it might be on there. But if you're using IdentityIQ, and you can access a discounted link down in the description so that you're not paying their full price of $29.99, you can get it at $21.99. And just so you know, a little bit of caveat there, that is my affiliate link, but you are going to get this information directly off there. All the big guns, right? Date last reported, the notice of dispute, the date last active, the date last paid, so on and so forth. All of the big guns that I use to remove very difficult accounts, all right? So this is an important round because we're using, pay attention to this, okay? We're not just sending our dispute letter. A lot of people think you just send a dispute letter. No, this is important because we're using our initial letter, our second letter, our initial credit report, and our second credit report, just the pages that are relevant to our accounts, to prove our violation, okay? Go and look at the last step. Contact CFPB for violations, okay? And obviously the timing on this varies, but you should only be contacting them after you've exhausted all remedies. It does not mean you send one round of disputes and now you're all of a sudden with the CFPB. No, and guess what? There's an article, and I'm going to be showing you this in the next video. The CRA has only responded to 2% of 700,000 complaints between January and September of 2021. Make sure when you do submit your complaint, you're not sending out crap, okay? So now if your violation round doesn't work, that's okay. Nobody ever said that you're just going to send 1 or 2 disputes and that your negative items are going to come off. No, there's a very specific flow to this, and there's a process, okay? Your credit would not be the determining factor of basically everything: where you live, where you work, how much money you have, where your kids go to school, all that kind of stuff. If it were as simple as just screwing up your credit and doing it all over again, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, on our 4th round, we're at 120 days. This is Tactic Central. Your remaining items can be disputed using one of hundreds of tactics for credit sweeps specific to the account or accounts being disputed, right? And obviously there's no 2 same credit sweeps. This is where you're understanding how an account should be reported becomes important and what an inaccuracy should be considered under FCRA and Metro 2, right? And this is actually where a lot of consumers drop out because of lack of understanding of the process. And like I said, trust and believe if we're as simple as everyone sending out 1 to 2 disputes to remove any negative item, your credit report would not be the determining factor of virtually everything. If you go to get a car, what do they look at first? They look at your credit. You go to get a house, what do they look at first? They look at your credit. If you go to get jewelry, what do they look at? They look at your bank account and or your credit report. If you go and apply for anything, what do they look at? Your credit report. If you go to get a good job, a career type of job, what do they look at? They look at your credit report, okay? So just use some common sense here, okay? Now, here's the deal. You're looking at this chart and you're like, well, Kristen, I see all these arrows going everywhere. Well, obviously that's because you might be able to jump to different tactics, right? Different rounds. It all depends on whether something was removed and or how it was updated by the bureaus or the creditor or collector on your credit report. So if we're starting at our initial dispute and we go to Gameland, now if the account was removed but something else was not, now we can jump down to the evolution line method, or we can go to the dispute funnel. Or if we're at Tactic Central, we can jump down to disputing any remaining negative items and then go to the CFPB. Okay, so that's why it's important that you download this and go get your copy so that you can look at this and use it when relevant to your specific negative items. Okay, so now we're in stage 3. And yes, any credit sweep can be broken down into different stages. And if you're looking at the credit sweep process in general, there's very specific stages as far as removing negative items, building your credit, and then going and building up your score to get your total entire credit health. Okay, so with the evolution line method, and I will, if I can remember, I will link that webinar down in the description. It's very, very important because this is where you would manually locate changed information on the report from previously disputed elements. For example, the date last active. Now remember, you only want to use a dispute reason once, okay? If you said it once, you're not going to say it again. However, with the evolution line method, you can actually stay at the top of the hierarchy and reuse a biggest impact dispute if the information has changed. So let's just say the date last active says 1/1/2021, right? You dispute it. Now you go to your violation round and you notice, hey, wait a second, they changed 1/1/2021 to the current date, which is today is 1/11/2022. Okay, so obviously they changed it, and now you can re-dispute because of the changed information. So you wouldn't be disputing all 3 bureaus. You're only disputing the bureau who has changed the information. And this is a major loophole to reuse major dispute reasons that delete really difficult accounts instead of having to use fairly worthless dispute reasons at the bottom of the pyramid where we don't want to be. Okay, so our next round is our dispute funnel, and this encompasses multiple different rounds within this tactic. Okay, and this is where you're actually going to follow up to any future dispute, regardless of whether the bureaus reply, don't reply. We want to limit their responses and shift them towards our next dispute. This is also recommended for extremely difficult accounts. So as an example, right, we have a student loan, it has late payments, and they actually begin at 90 days. Okay, so you're not seeing any 30 days or 60-day late payments. It's just okay, 90 days late. But they're reported on different months by each bureau, right? So knowing that they're going to come back and say verified or certified as accurate by creditor, you would send round 1 as inaccurate due to the first late payment at 90 days and round 2 as inaccurate between all 3 bureaus because it can be proven easily, corrected or removed by the bureaus directly without the creditor, and proven by the creditor to be used against the bureaus. Okay, so that's just one example of setting the follow-up. Okay, I am also going to link this dispute funnel seminar down in the description. So you're going to find the evolution line method, you're going to find the dispute funnel link, and you're also going to find the QR code or the link to access this directly. Okay, so now we're at the end of this. We're at stage 4. We have remaining negative items. Okay, or you don't. Maybe you're just done. The dispute funnel or evolution line method got rid of everything. Great. Now you're just done. Move on to building your credit and raising your score. But if you still have negative items, now, bit of a caveat here, you can add a bunch of different tactics in here, but I'm just giving an example of a bulletproof credit sweep dispute tactics flow, okay? So we're going to use factual disputes, and we're going to use the pyramid method, the dispute hierarchy, so on and so forth, to remove the rest of those negative items. Now, we're going to get to a point, depending on what we're disputing, where it's just like, okay, I've done what I could possibly do. I've removed everything that I could without either A, going to the CFPB for violations, or B, suing the bureaus, creditors, or collectors, okay? So depending on you, depending on your file, depending on many different factors and responses from the bureaus or lack thereof, that's going to tell you when you should get to this point. But I say normally it's around 12 months. Now you may be freaking out here saying, Kristen, you're telling me I'm gonna have to dispute for 12 months? Well, hey, normally I would say 9 months, but obviously things are extremely difficult to remove right now because it's not just you sending a dispute to people sitting around a table. No, it's millions and millions and millions of consumers that are disputing all sorts of stuff, okay? Just look at the article that I was going to, put in a totally different video where the CRAs are only responded to 2% of 700,000 complaints, okay? That's through a government agency. Just think about how many millions of disputes. It's actually 1.5 million disputes that the bureaus get every single month per bureau, and how many of those they're actually responding to, okay? So there's going to be violations. They're not going to respond. It's going to take time, and especially because it's all being automated, all right? There's no people in this. So all things considered, yes, this is taking a little bit longer, but this is why it's so important that you understand how to use these tactics and what a factual dispute is, and to not use worthless dispute methods like sending in templates, because you're going to call me up 4 years down the road and say, hey, you know what? I need help now. And I'm going to say, hey, guess what? You should have contacted me 4 years ago before you went and did identity theft, before you sent a 609 letter, before you sent this stupid 4-page pursuant to this, that, and the third bolded text type of letter. That's not going to get you any results, okay? So are you going to send a CFPB complaint at 6 months? No. Are you going to do it at 9 months? Possibly. Are you going to do it at 12 months? Yes, most definitely. You should not be disputing unless there's a very specific reason past about 12 months. Now, you have to look at the dispute type. If it's a student loan or a bankruptcy or a foreclosure or a possession, that's going to take you 9 to 12 months. If it's a medical collection, it's going to take you an average of 3 months. That's if you're disputing with the bureaus and you're disputing with the collectors. If you're disputing late payments that are older than 2 years, it's probably going to take you an average of 6 months, okay? So understanding that these specific negative items take a certain amount of time is going to help you and allow you to formulate your plan of action to actually get results, instead of sending out worthless disputes or not disputing at all because you're getting impatient, okay? And this is, again, going back to Tactic Central, when a lot of consumers drop out because of lack of understanding of the process, okay? So I don't want to get into more of that stuff because I don't want to confuse you, but that is it for today on the Bulletproof Tactics chart and training here. If you want to learn more, like I said, head over to hub.my740.com or vault.my740.com, which is actually the store, or you can use the link at the top of your screen to head over to my740.com, schedule a call with me, and I will see if I can help, if I can take over your file, and if I can get the results for you, because obviously this is what I do, okay? So have a great day. Make sure to like this video if you found value in it, obviously, and if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you later. Go and click on one of the other videos that pop up on your screen, and that is it for today.